Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. We will chant Om once together. Synchronize the chanting of Om with your exhalation. Breathe in. Sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunattu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Gently open your eyes. We will chant from verses 1 to 5 of chapter 3. Arjuna Uvacha.
Arjuna Uvacha.
Jayasi chet karmanaste.
Jayasi chet karmanaste.
Mata buddhir janardana.
Mata buddhir janardana.
Tat kim karmani ghore mam.
Tat kim karmani ghore mam.
Niyojayasi keshava.
Niyojayasi keshava.
Vyamishreneva vakyena.
Vyamishreneva vakyena.
Buddhim mohayasiva me.
Buddhim mohayasiva me.
Tadekam vada nishchitya.
Tadekam vada nishchitya.
Yena shreyohamapnuyam.
Yena shreyohamapnuyam.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha.
Lokesmin dvividha nishtha.
Lokesmin dvividha nishtha.
Pura prokta maya nagha.
Pura prokta maya nagha.
Jnana yogena sankhyanam.
Jnana yogena sankhyanam.
Karma yogena yoginam.
Karma yogena yoginam.
Na karmanam
Na karmanam
Naishkarmyam purushoshnute.
Naishkarmyam purushoshnute.
न च संन्यसनादेव
न च संन्यसनादेव
सिद्धिं समधिगच्छति
सिद्धिं समधिगच्छति
न हि कश्चित् क्षणमपि
न हि कश्चित् क्षणमपि
जातु तिष्ठत्य कर्मकृत्
जातु तिष्ठत्य कर्मकृत्
कार्यते ह्यवशः कर्म
कार्यते ह्यवशः कर्म
सर्वः प्रकृतिजैर्गुणैः
सर्वः प्रकृतिजैर्गुणैः
Hari Om, and a very good day to all of you. So last week we were seeing what is sannyas, that is renunciation. What is true renunciation? See, in any field, you will find that when someone starts something, the quality is generally very high. But later on, as the next generation comes into the picture, that is the followers, the quality starts dropping. Because what the original person conceived, whatever that particular person had lived for, to maintain the same level of purity is very difficult. I'm not putting it as a rule, but in many cases this happens. It's not only with respect to spirituality, with respect to other, businesses or any other field also, we find that the general trend is this. Now, as a sadhak, what should you do? What are we trying to do in the yogic approach? Because this ancient wisdom was given by our holy siddhas, the great yogis. Now, due to the passage of time, there is a possibility of that getting infiltrated and polluted. The quality can come down. This has happened in every yuga. If you read the Puranic stories, you will find many incidents illustrating this. The very yuga parivartana, that is from the Treta Yuga, the Satya Yuga, the Dwapara Yuga and Kali Yuga, is based on the quality deteriorating, the quality of dharma, the quality of knowledge, the wisdom, the quality of the mind, the quality of the intellect. So these truths have been given in a pure and pristine way by those people who were one with the infinite consciousness. Now, when we study it today, we are studying it with our limited minds, our limited thoughts, and our own conditionings about what is right, what is wrong. So chances are we will definitely misunderstand, and the quality also will come down. The quality of our understanding, the quality of this wisdom can never come down, because true wisdom is always eternal. That is why it is called Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma is not any particular religion. In any part of the world, if the truths are given out in any form, that is, truths means that which does not change according to time, and that is called Sanatana Dharma. It need not be confined to any particular religion and all that. So this ancient wisdom will never come down, but your understanding may be faulty, may lack that quality. So how do we bridge this gap? On one hand, you have this ancient wisdom which was given by people who were one with the infinite, and they had expanded their consciousness. Their thoughts were so lofty. The mind was 100% purified. So from that state they have given out this wisdom. But when a person is receiving it, he or she is receiving it from his or her level of limitations. So chances are that even though from these great masters' point of view, the transaction of wisdom is pure, from the receiver's point of view, from the student's point of view, the purity can come down. So there is a long gap because of the level difference. So how do we bridge that gap? That is what the yogic approach is all about. The first thing is you need to understand the limitations of your own mind and your own intellect. You should never conclude, this is what is perfect, this is what is right. Or if something is not to your taste, that is, if you feel something is wrong, immediately you should not reject, oh, this is not okay. The reason is you are viewing it from the level of limitations, whereas this wisdom has been given from the state of no limitations. So every aspect of this wisdom, when absorbed properly in its pure form, will transform you. But every aspect of this wisdom can also be misunderstood because of the receiver's limitations. So how do we bridge this gap? That is where these great masters have ingeniously given what is called a sadhana as a part of this yogic approach. It is not enough if you merely gain this knowledge, but you need to do your daily sadhana. What happens is, when you do your daily sadhana, slowly, all your limitations will start disappearing. And when your limitations start disappearing, your ability to absorb this wisdom in its pure form will start increasing. That is why, you would have had this experience. Let us say 1 year back, the same concept was explained to you. It may have been explained to you in a different way, but still the concept is the same, Now, 1 year later, the same thing is told to you. Now, your understanding will be different. Your absorption will be different. You can even experiment with this. You can pick up some discourse which happened 1 or 2 years back and just listen to it and see. You will find that the whole thing will be totally new to you. You will wonder whether you have attended the discourse or not. Why? Because your level of purity has increased. Due to your sadhana, your limitations have dropped off. Your understanding has deepened. So that is why when it comes to this ancient wisdom, what the masters always say is that don't become too fanatic about anything, because whatever you have understood may not be the ultimate. As long as you are in the state of finiteness, your understanding also will be limited only. So don't become fanatic about any belief, any aspect of this wisdom. Be inspired. Go on practicing. But don't get into a feeling that I know it all and I only know, others don't know. Then you will miss the very spirit of this wisdom. So these are some of the principles which have been totally misunderstood. For example, sannyas. The moment we talk of sannyas, or renunciation, detachment, people always take it to mean, no, I have to give up. Actually, why is it that many people are not getting into spirituality? Because of these words only. Oh, I don't want to give up. I'm not ready for that. Let me complete my life and then let me take up spirituality. Because there is a general misconception that spirituality means now it will ask you to give up things, give up your day-to-day pleasures of life. So it is the misunderstanding is not now. See, the Bhagavad Gita was given 5,000 years before. At that time itself the misunderstanding was there. That is why Krishna is making the statement. By false renunciation, now you cannot attain perfection, he says. The yuga parivartana, that is the changing of yugas. When I was telling you, one of the facets is the deterioration. The deterioration happens in stages. The grades will vary, that's all. So you need to do sadhana. You need to be very alert and vigilant as a sadhak and understand that this deterioration has happened, and you need to compensate for that through your personal effort. First of all, the devotion, the basic devotion and faith that is required, what he calls as Shraddha. Actually, in one of the chapters, Krishna says, this should not be given to a person who keeps doubting, who cavils. Cavils means who criticizes, because that person will not have an open mind. You require an open mind, an inquiring mind, in order to get into the depth of this. So Krishna says, don't waste your time giving it to someone who will not have any value for it. Very powerful statement. That is not to deter people from gaining this knowledge. No, it is only to emphasize the importance of faith and devotion in order to gain this wisdom. So the more you understand your limitations, automatically you will develop a sense of faith, a sense of devotion. Yes, even though I am not able to practice it fully immediately, even though I am not able to understand it fully right now, but still I will continue with my efforts till I master this. What will give you that impetus to carry on? It is that faith, it is that devotion. So when we are understanding these principles, when we are trying to absorb these higher principles side by side, this attitude, this approach is very important. It is an integral aspect of the yogic approach. That is why it's not so easy to follow the yogic approach, because the ego is so strong that it will not allow a person to bow down, to bend. And ultimately, unless we bend all our limitations, bend means surrender, all our limitations, it is not possible to become one with the infinite. So sannyas, renunciation or detachment, what exactly is it? I've been giving you a few dimensions of sannyas. It is not comprehensive. As we go along with the other verses, again and again, these principles will be coming, and according to that context, more dimensions will be opened up. The same dimensions may be explained with more depth. See, when you thus gain a comprehensive understanding of the entire wisdom, that is when the real transformation will happen. So, what is true renunciation? I'll give you one more dimension today. I explained to you renunciation, there is sannyas as a lifestyle that we saw because a question was asked by someone. So that also we saw. Then sannyas is nothing but giving up your ego, your negativities, all that we saw. Now, true sannyas is nothing but a state of growth or maturity, a state of inner growth. Now, what do we mean by sannyas is a state of growth? Now, let us take a simple example. There is a child, and the child is playing with its toys. Let us say the child has teddy bears, then it has some toy car, and then other various toys, and the child is very happily playing with those toys. We can say the child is completely attached to the toys, because if you take away any of the toy, now the child will start crying. It will create a lot of stress and sorrow in the mind of the child. For the child, as far as the child is concerned, its entire world is nothing but its toys. Many children, they dream about their toys. Very interesting. Now, as an adult, you may laugh at that. Why are you dreaming about this toy car? What is there? I have enough money as your parent. I can buy you a real car. Now, all those things will not mean anything to the child. The child will value the toy car more than the actual car. You may be having a BMW or Mercedes, let us say, and something goes wrong. Due to some accident, your car gets damaged. Now, it will be a great source of sorrow for you. But as far as a child is concerned, the child will be happy only because its toy car is intact. Now, when the same child grows up, becomes an adult, now what is its attitude towards the toys which he or she was playing when, as a child? That approach or that state is called sannyas. See, this is only a very relative example to illustrate this point of growth. So when a child is a child and playing with the toys, there is so much of dependence. Happiness is dependent on the toys only. But when the same child becomes an adult, now how is the person relating to the erstwhile toys? We can say that person has become detached with respect to the toys. That inner state of detachment has naturally happened because of growth. Now, the very important point which you need to note here is, supposing as an adult, let us say the same person again, he or she sees another child and decides to have some fun with the child. So he also starts playing with the same toys again. Now, will you say that his detachment level has come down? No. Even though he may be playing with the same toys, all that is there, but he is still detached. So that shows his level of detachment is not determined by whether he is in touch with the toys externally, that is the quantity, how many toys he has, or whether he is playing with the toys or not and all that. It is dependent upon his inner state of growth. Similarly, the reverse also. Supposing a child says, I don't want toys, I don't want this toy. Will you say now the child has attained growth, that has attained detachment towards toys? No. The child is still a child only. It is only through growth that you can get detached from the previous level. If you are at 10% level, you cannot be detached there. But when you move up to 20%, then you will become detached with respect to the previous 10%. So now, take this example and apply it at the spiritual level. Today, you are also a spiritual child. The great masters look at all of us as as children only. That's where he says, Balaha means children. We have our toys. The child is playing with a toy car and the adult is playing with a bigger car. As far as a spiritual master is concerned, he sees both as children only. Both are playing with each other's toys. So what are your toys today? Just as a child has a teddy bear, has a toy car, toy house and all that. Similarly, your toys are wealth, name and fame, power, position, family. You can go on building. All these are the toys which you are extremely attached to today. Now what he's saying is, by renunciation one does not obtain perfection. Just because you give up these things now physically doesn't mean that you have grown internally. Again, go back to the child example. You take away all the toys from the child. Let us say a child says, I will give up this toy car. I will give up this, I will give up that. Still, has a child grown? No. Similarly, when you are playing with your toys today, just because you externally give up wealth, or you say, I'm not going to handle this, I give up this, I give up that, doesn't mean you have reached the state of sannyas. Then what determines the level of detachment? What is the difference between a child and an adult? We will go back to that example. The toys are there. Now the child is also playing with the toys. The adult is also just having fun with and playing and giving company to the child, let us say. But there is a big difference in terms of the way they relate to the toys. What is the difference? The child has complete value for the toys, whereas the adult has dropped that extra value. The moment you drop that extra value for something, then you outgrow it. That is when we say you become detached. It has nothing to do with whether you are having it with you physically or whether you don't have it with you physically. A person may give up all the wealth externally, but he may have a lot of value for wealth. Another person may have a lot of wealth, but he may not have any value for wealth. It all just depends. So true sannyas, true renunciation is nothing but growing. And when we say growing, it means outgrowing whatever the lower level is and moving up to a higher level of consciousness. So that is why, we find in the scriptures, there are many kings who were realized souls. They were all called Raja Rishis. There's a contradiction. Raja means king, Rishi means a saint. How can you be a king and a saint? Yes, it's possible, because when we say a Rishi, it has to do with your inner growth. And Raja, a king, means one who is playing the role there. So when you don't have this deep wisdom, you equate sannyas to mean merely physically giving up things without putting any effort or without doing any sadhana to expand one's consciousness and move to the next level. People take the easy way out. Okay, let me give up these things, now I'll become spiritual. It's not so simple like that. So true renunciation, true detachment is determined by the level of the value which you have for something. So how does a yogi function in the world? Just as an adult, if you go and play with the toys, how will you play? Supposing you lose the toy car, you're an adult, okay, and you're playing with your child. Both of you are very seriously playing with the toy car, and suddenly the toy car bangs on a wall and it breaks. Now the child will start crying. But will you now sit and start crying? If that is the case, then it's a very funny situation, You will not. The loss of a toy car is not going to affect you, because that is not your level. But at your level, when something happens to an object which you have value for, then you will also sit and cry like a child. So just as an adult, when you play with the children and all the toys, you are still in a state of detachment because you have no value for those things. Similarly, a yogi, a siddha, who has truly outgrown all these, and he is reveling in that supreme consciousness. Now, if he happens to contact the world, he will be in a state of complete sannyas. Externally, he will be interacting, he'll be doing everything which is required. That is the whole karma yoga. Karyam karma means do whatever you ought to do. But internally, he will be completely detached, unaffected. So number one, the value. Child has extreme value for the toys. As an adult, you don't. And when you don't have value, we come to the second point. That is, the happiness of a child is dependent on the toys, whereas the happiness of an adult is not dependent on those toys. That again determines the level of detachment. So today you have your wealth, you have wealth means what? All forms of wealth, money, then house, your various possessions, everything put together. So today find out what are you dependent on, that is for your happiness. So your happiness may be dependent on your wealth. Your happiness may be dependent on your name or fame. Name or fame doesn't mean you have to be in the limelight or something. Within your circle, if someone insults you, immediately you get upset completely. It means your happiness is dependent upon the praise or insult, the other person's comments. Like this, there are various toys with which you're playing. A yogi who has outgrown all this views the entire life in a completely detached way. So what is the difference between a yogi, a person with wisdom, and a normal person who is in ignorance? Both of them will be in the world and contacting the world, but one person will be completely dependent on the world for his or her happiness, whereas a yogi is independent. His source of happiness is the infinite. That is the empowerment which has been given. We had the empowerment course on infinite happiness. So whatever sadhana material has been provided to you, now start doing those meditations along with the Yoga Sankirtan. You will slowly become completely independent of anything that is happening around you for your happiness. It is a supreme state. It is a state of strength. So false renunciation, which means merely giving up things externally, is like a child saying, I don't want a toy. So that person is also in the same level only. So how do we determine whether it is false renunciation or true renunciation? If you are truly detached about something, now when another person has the same object, you will not be disturbed. You will neither be disturbed when you have that object, nor will you be disturbed when you don't have the object another person is having. This is a simple way of knowing whether you're truly detached or not. Now, supposing a person says, I don't want wealth. Is that detachment towards wealth? How do we find out? Very simple. Does the presence or absence of wealth affect that person? Supposing some wealth is taken away from him. Now, immediately, does he get affected? No, externally he may put on an act. I am saying you have to find out for yourself. Similarly, if a lot of wealth is given, do you get excited so much that you lose yourself? That determines the level of your detachment. And not only that, if another person has wealth, let us say a person says, I am not interested in wealth, but his neighbor is very wealthy. Now, how does he view that? If you are not detached, you will start criticizing them. You will say, oh, he's caught up with wealth. He has to grow up. Something wrong he must have done. That is why he has become wealthy. Various ways by which people criticize others. Those are all symptoms of attachment only. So even though you may not have wealth physically, still your mind may be attached to wealth. This is how you can find out. So how does a yogi view everyone? When he sees somebody wealthy and that wealth is giving that person some temporary happiness, now the yogi also feels happy for that person. He blesses him. He says, may you gain more and more wealth, because today you are wanting that. Tomorrow you may outgrow that, that's a different matter. But as of today, that is giving you a certain amount of happiness. So yogi's philosophy or principle which he follows is, I am always happy seeing others happy. If someone becomes very famous, the yogi is so happy for that person. Name and fame he has acquired, So that is a sign of detachment. Whereas if it's false renunciation from your side, then you are not a true yogi. When somebody has money, you will criticize. Materialistic people, you will say. If someone becomes famous, now again you will criticize. You will constantly be functioning with a spirit of criticism. So most people who say that I am not interested, I don't have a desire, actually they all have desires. They have a lot of value. They're just putting on an act. That is why they start criticizing others. So later on he'll be saying, if you want to get into true sannyas, you should neither be attached nor should you have hatred towards the world. You should neither quote nor should you avoid. So all that we'll be seeing. So this is what true sannyas is. It is a state of growth. So from a lower standpoint, we can say sannyas means giving up. The literal word meaning of sannyas means giving up only. But from a higher standpoint, it is not giving up anything. It is taking up higher values. When the fruit grows, automatically the petals of the flower will fall away. In order to get a fruit, if you forcefully pluck the petals, you will never get a fruit. So when your mind starts getting attuned to the higher, automatically all the lower values will drop off. Again, the values will drop off. It has nothing to do with whether you're physically possessing or not. That depends upon the situation only. Some yogis were very much in the world. So that's what I told you. Some of them were even kings also. Raja Rishis they were called. They were dealing with wealth. All the aspects of the world. Some yogis were partially in the world because that was enough for them to do whatever was ordained to them. Some yogis had withdrawn themselves from all these things in order to be in solitude and do certain research. That depends upon each one's nature. But that lifestyle has nothing to do with their inner state of sannyas or renunciation. This is what happened, when Vedavyasa's son, his name was Sukhamuni, and he was a great Siddha. So he learnt a lot from his father. And he did a lot of sadhana and acquired many siddhis, that is the supernatural powers. Here we are using the word siddhi, sense of supernatural power. Why I'm mentioning that is we are also going to see the deeper meaning of siddhi and all that. So he had acquired a lot of supernatural powers and all that. And still he didn't get the highest experience. So he went to his father Vyasa and asked him, "Oh father, now why is it that I have not yet got enlightened? So much of tapas I have done." To which Vyasa told him, "No, that is because you have not yet dropped your ego." Now Sukamuni was very surprised because he thought he had no ego. Usually people who don't have ego always think that they don't have ego. It's a very tricky situation, you know. So then he said, "So what should I do?" Vyasa said, "You require a guru, so you go and learn from a guru." To which Sukamuni said, "You are my guru. Why should I go out? Yes, I've been your guru, but now I'm only telling you, you require another experience." Because Vyasa had observed that Sukamuni had developed an ego that he was a son of Vyasa. See, Vyasa was one of the greatest sages. Now, being the son of Vyasa and having learnt everything from him, unconsciously Sukamuni had developed an ego that I am the son of Vyasa. So in order to break that, Vyasa said, "I will send you to another saint." So okay, to whom do I need to go? He said, "Go to King Janaka." King Janaka was called a Videha. Videha means even though living in the body, he had reached that state where he could willfully withdraw his consciousness from the body and be one with the infinite. He was an enlightened soul, you know. So he said, "You have to go to King Janaka and learn from him." Now Sukamuni was very disturbed because, see, he was living in a forest and all that. He was a sannyasi in that sense, you know, externally. So how can he go to a king? Because he was viewing all the worldly people as people who were below him. He was superior. That's the feeling which he had. So how can I go to a king and learn? It was a big puzzle for him. Vyasa had deliberately asked him to go to King Janaka because that was a block for him. So then Sukamuni had to go because his father and guru had told him. So he went to King Janaka to learn from him. And the incident is that when he went to meet King Janaka, he found that Janaka was in the palace, some dance performance was going on. He was sitting on the throne. He was wearing a crown, decorated himself with all the jewels. He was fully in the world, you know. And when Sukamuni saw that, he immediately judged him. How can this worldly person teach me? So he came back. And as he was coming back, again he realized, my God, what is this? My father told me to learn from him. He's not only my father, he's my guru also. But I am judging. So he went back. Again, he found King Janaka in some other pleasure, amidst some other so-called worldly pleasure. So when Sukamuni saw that, again he thought, now what can he teach me? And he came back. As he was walking back, he felt, no, I have to fulfill what my father asked me to do. Again he went back. This happened 17 times. See how difficult it is to break the ego. And Sukamuni was not an ordinary person. He was not merely a son of Vyasa. He had acquired all the wisdom from Vyasa. Actually, after he learned from King Janaka, it is said that he even reached a state which was beyond what Vyasa had reached. That is how they put. Just to to show how great he was, So he was not an ordinary person. But at his level, he found it so difficult to break that ego. So then he went back to Vyasa and he said, I am not able to learn anything from him. 17 times I went to him. And he is, one day I saw him enjoying some dance performance, one day some singing performance, one day he's just into some other sensual experience. He's always so worldly. So why is it that you're sending me to him? I don't want to go. So to which Vyasa told him, listen, my son, you should understand, he is not worldly. Your judgmental attitude is only worldliness. You're thinking you're spiritual and that person is worldly, no? That is what is worldliness. He is a great Mahatma. King Janaka was known as one of the greatest Mahatmas. That's why he was given the title Videha. People used to call him Videha. So then it hit Sukamuni, my God. So he said, listen, you've been approaching him with this feeling that I am the son of Vyasa, I am a sannyasi, I am this, I am that, I am spiritual and all that. If you want true wisdom from a guru, you should humble yourself completely. Give up all this ego and go to him. So then Sukamuni went in a very humble way. And news reached Janaka that Sukha had come to meet him. And how did Janaka receive him? First 1 week, he just asked him to stay there. He ignored him. But Sukamuni was patiently waiting because now he had become alert. See, all this was the training which King Janaka was giving him. Because unless the ego is completely pulverized, this highest knowledge, highest wisdom cannot be given. So Sukamuni waited patiently. And then after a few days, suddenly King Janaka brought all the riches and flowers and fruits and came and welcomed Sukamuni, and he made him sit on a comfortable seat and gave him a lot of food and asked the attendants to press his feet. All that he did. Again, Sukamuni was just observing the whole thing. Because he had truly given up his ego. He was neither affected by Janaka's action of ignoring him, nor was he overwhelmed by this reception. He just kept quiet. And then King Janaka gave him a cup of oil and he said, now I want you to go around the whole palace. You have to hold your oil above this cup above your head, and you have to go. Not even one oil should spill. So, without asking any questions, Sukamuni did that. And as he passed through the palace, there were so many distractions, wealth, some certain portions where there was a display of wealth, then some arts were going on, dances, things. But he didn't get distracted by anything because his focus was not even a single drop of oil should spill. All this was a training. He wanted Sukamuni to get to that level of concentration. So he successfully completed that. So then King Janaka said, you are very well qualified, but I cannot give you the highest wisdom. So Sukamuni said, why? I have come only for that, sir. Because by this time he understood that King Janaka was was not an ordinary person. So to which King Janaka said, because if you want the empowerment, if you want the highest empowerment, you have to give Guru Dakshina. Because without Guru Dakshina, without an exchange of energy, the initiation, the empowerment will not work. So unless and until you give me Guru Dakshina, I cannot give you the empowerment. So to which Sukamuni said, sir, what Guru Dakshina do you require? Just tell me. Because I have all the siddhis, Ashta Siddhi, all the supernatural powers. Anything you want, just tell me, I'll get it for you. That was the last ego, where he had the ego about his supernatural powers. So Janaka wanted to break that also. See, this is how he molded him, and he became a true sannyasi by giving up his ego. That is what I am coming to. The rest of the story is not relevant to our context here. The main thing is the molding of Sukamuni. Even though he had so much of wisdom, in the process he had developed ego that I am the son of Vyasa. First that was broken. And the ego that I am a sannyasi, I am living in the forest, that was broken. Then the ego that I know everything, that was broken. One by one, he was breaking. So the final ego was he had a lot of powers. So that ego also has to go. So when Sukamuni said, I have these Ashta Siddhis, so anything you ask, I can just give you. King Janaka just smiled and he said, okay, go and get me something which has absolutely no value. So now Sukamuni was confused, because with all these powers, so-called supernatural powers, you can get wealth, you can get this, that, but everything has some value. So he thought, okay, does wealth have value? Yes, of course it has value. Then this object, that object, one by one he tried to see everything had some value or other. So he became so tired. What is this? He asked me to give me a small Guru Dakshina, something which has no value. Even that I am unable to fulfill. He was so dejected, At that time he sat under a tree and he noticed something lying there, and that was nothing but the human excreta. And the incident is that he thought, this has no value, it is a total waste. So let me now take this to him as a Guru Dakshina. So he took some leaf and all that and gathered that, and he was walking. And as he was walking, the story is that the excreta started talking to him. He said, oh fool, why are you taking me? Now when he heard that word, he got angry, oh fool. But quickly he resolved his ego and he said, why are you calling me a fool? Yes, because you are a human being, that is why I am calling you a fool. If I am a human being, why should you call me a fool? Because you only made me like this. Yesterday I was a nice piece of sweet in a shop. A human being like you only ate me, and then he has made me like this. So when Sukamuni heard that, he dropped it and he sat down in meditation. He sat down, he started thinking, is this what life is? What am I doing? What is life? I am experiencing so many things. What is the purpose of all this? He started thinking, and then, is this body valuable? So one by one, he started dropping off his consciousness, his identification with everything in the world mentally. Wealth, is it valuable? No. In the real sense of the term, finally, is the body itself, is it valuable? No. And then the thoughts, the emotions. One by one, he became detached from everything. And he became enlightened. And he went back to King Janaka. And this time, Janaka didn't ask him for any Guru Dakshina, because that was the Guru Dakshina which he had asked him for. Because the most, that is the thing which has no value in life is nothing but ego. So, Sukamuni had offered all his ego, and he became a true sannyasi, a true enlightened person. So he was thinking, Janaka was referring to other things when he was talking about bring me a thing without any value. But it was his own ego. So this entire episode is a very enlightening episode, because at every step, a little bit of his ego kept on dissolving. You know, at one step when he went to see Janaka after 17 times, and when Janaka ignored him, he observed Janaka, who was actually in the pleasures, he was amidst the pleasures, but one leg he had kept on the fire. Earlier he had missed that. When he saw that, then only he realized, my God, this is a message he is giving me. Even though he was in the pleasures, he was also in a state of renunciation, just a symbolic representation. No? Like this, stage by stage, Sukamuni's ego was destroyed and he became enlightened. This is true sannyas. Like this, our Puranas contains so many incidents to illustrate what is true spirituality. And yet, people have missed it. See, Vedavyasa, when he compiled the Veda, he knew people will misunderstand it. That is why he brought it down in the form of stories, incidents. He wrote all the Puranas. Each Puranic incident actually gives a lot of messages, but people have still misunderstood. Many masters have come and tried to give this ancient wisdom in its purest form, yet people keep on misunderstanding. It is only when you use the yogic approach and humble yourself like what Sukamuni did, that is when you can truly gain the higher wisdom. You can get into a state of sannyas, because that is a supreme state. So, nor by renunciation does one obtain perfection. So there, if you take Sukamuni's example, he had given up everything physically. He was sitting in the forest, but still he had a value for so many things. He had a value for being the son of Vyasa. That is a very difficult ego to conquer, you know. If your father is a saint, now naturally somewhere in your mind, you know, that ego will come. I am his son or I am his daughter. Now that ego, he found it very difficult. He had a value for that. He had a value for all the supernatural powers which he had acquired. He had a value for that lifestyle of sannyas. And he thought he was superior and the king was worldly. Now how to break these kinds of egos? See, when the ego grows, you can easily break that. But when the ego is subtle, it's very difficult to break that. That is why Vyasa said you go to King Janaka. That very process of sending him to King Janaka itself was a sadhana. See, this also shows the greatness of Vyasa and the greatness of King Janaka. Vyasa's only aim was that Sukamuni should be rid of all these negativities and he should become one with the infinite. And when he went to King Janaka, every treatment which Janaka was giving him, was nothing but a guidance only. When Sukamuni went to him and he was amidst the worldly experience, not that he didn't know, but he wanted all the judgmental attitude in Sukamuni to come out. And he has to fight it out, do the sadhana, overcome that, and then come. Only then he'll be able to guide him further. So sometimes the Guru may act in a very strange way. He may put on a certain show, as if he is worldly, as if he is this, that and all, to bring out all the judgmental attitude from the student. One who fights it out and removes that ego and comes back, that person only can be taken to the next level. And see, the way in which King Janaka functioned, isn't it very strange? For several days he made him wait. He ignored him. He treated him like dirt. And then suddenly he came and gave him all the importance, welcomed him and all that. So Guru will do so many things. But all these are nothing but treatments, guidance given to a true sadhak. If a person is a true sadhak, he will be able to recognize the infinite love behind the actions of the Guru. That is why I said the faith and devotion is very much necessary. If you go to the Himalayas, they are very strict. Strict in the sense they'll put you through a lot of tests before giving anything. No compromise on that. When the empowerment program was on, this happened last time, and invariably every empowerment program, someone or other raises the same point but in different ways. So one person was saying, can the empowerment program be during holidays? Because during working days it is very difficult and all that. That is the filter which has been put. What is the value which you are giving for that? The commitment, With all those difficulties, if you are able to say yes to it and if you attend that, then you truly deserve that. So each one compromises. One person says, I have a lot of work, I will not be able to attend that. Yes, go your way. Another person says, I am not able to practice all this. See, that is also a form of ego only manifesting. And you say, sir, I am not able to practice whatever you are giving, therefore I will not attend. If you are unable to practice, only you should attend. Because the higher and higher empowerment you take, the lower ones will become easy for you to practice. See, again the ego plays tricks. But you will have to fight it out. But when you remove the ego in the real sense of the term, completely, that is when you truly reach the state of sannyas, renunciation. And that kind of renunciation will give you enlightenment, not the false renunciation. So we'll stop with that today. Think about the story, the incident in... see, sometimes when we use the word story, it looks like fiction. It is not fiction. These are all true incidents, of great masters of our past. We have such a rich history. So just think about this incident which happened in Sukamuni's life. He was one of the greatest saints, and the training which was given to him was so powerful. But because he had that faith, that devotion, because he was a true sadhak, he was able to overcome all that, and he reached the true state of sannyas and he became enlightened. So when you read those incidents, when you think about those incidents, you also start acquiring those qualities within you. You become a powerful sadhak. Okay? So before we do the meditation, I will take up one question. This question has been asked by Narayanji. Hari Om Guruji, pranams. When we are connected with the infinite and receiving the energy, and when different negative thoughts get released, then as we witness the release, is the observer to be perceived as Jivatma or Paramatma? As Jivatma is the one which is receiving the divine energy and releasing the negative energy from itself and getting purified. Need clarification on this, Guruji. Thanks for all the guidance and blessings. Sadhak Narayan. See, when you're doing your sadhana and let us say some negative thoughts or negative emotions are getting released. Now your question is, who is the observer? Because what is always said is, be an observer and do the deep breathing and keep releasing all that. So your question is about the observer. Is it the Jivatma or Paramatma? First of all, you need to understand these terms a little more deeply. Atma means a soul. Paramatma means a supreme soul. Jivatma means that soul which is conditioned. Conditioned consciousness, we can say. Now, is it the Jivatma or Paramatma? It is definitely not the Paramatma, because if you have already gone to that level of infinite, then you are an enlightened person. There is nothing to do, thereafter. There is no sadhana and all that. So it has to be something below that. And what is below the infinite? It is a Jivatma only. Now, the meaning of Jivatma will keep on varying according to the level of your growth. When you are completely stuck with the body, then that is your Jivatma. Jivatma only means that individual soul. So to what extent have you individualized yourself? If you are detached from the body and you are able to observe it, but you are at the level of the mind now, then Jivatma means the mind for you. Now during sadhana, a lot of things are happening at the mental level. One aspect of your mind is observing the rest of the mind. So that is your Jivatma, that is your individual soul. You become more subtle. So from the gross body consciousness, you will start withdrawing yourself to the next level. Then when you do more sadhana, you will withdraw yourself further and you will be able to observe the rest. Like this, you become more and more and more and more subtle. And a time would come when you reach the subtlest point within you. That is when your individuality will break and the Jivatma will see itself as the Paramatma. I am not even saying Jivatma will become the Paramatma, because actually there has been no separation. That is an illusion, but that is at the highest level. Whatever the consciousness which is seeing itself as conditioned, now will realize that it is in an unconditioned pure state. So you experience the infinite. So the trick here, the sadhana here, is to keep on becoming more and more subtle. That is through the process of awareness, practice of awareness. That is what was that is why you were asked to practice that in your sadhana. So is this clear? Initially, when the negative thoughts are there, you will be involved with the thoughts. Then your Jivatma is stuck there. That is the Jivatma for you. So as you withdraw and become a witness, your objectivity increases. The Jivatma is actually becoming subtler and subtler. That is the process of purification. And the subtlest part of you, the moment you reach that point, you become one with the infinite. You become enlightened. Is it clear? Interesting question which has been asked. So you think about this. We will do the meditation now. Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. With every breath, I am becoming more and more relaxed. With every breath, I am going deeper and deeper within myself. Beyond this physical body, beyond these various emotions and thoughts, lies my real supreme self. I am one with that infinite reality. Feel the divine vibrations. I choose to do my sadhana diligently. From this moment onwards, I choose to be very humble and simple and do my sadhana with utmost faith and devotion. I am Swayam Prakashit, self-illuminating. Offer your gratitude to God Supreme. Offer your gratitude to your Guru and all the holy masters. Slowly come back. Wriggle your fingers, your toes. Rub your palms together to create a warmth. Cup your eyes with your palms. Gently rub your eyes, cheeks, forehead, top of the head, back of the head and neck. Slowly open your eyes. Welcome back. So today was a powerful session. Many deep principles have been given to you. So don't try to show off your spirituality in any way. all that will not help you to achieve the highest. Be very humble, have a childlike faith, and be consistent in doing your sadhana. That will ensure that you grow internally. And when the internal growth takes place, then only you will get transformed. Anyone can reach the state of enlightenment, provided he or she follows these principles. So think about all this. Think about it in a relaxed way, but in a very serious way. Because these are all the golden principles. The more you learn these and you soak your mind in these different dimensions of sannyas, you will start absorbing that energy that will make you do your sadhana with more purpose. Okay? So next week we'll go into this further. The siddhim word is there, siddhi. Then samadhi gamanam, samadhi gacchati is also there. We'll take up those and you will find that how powerful this whole principle becomes, Okay, we'll see all that next week and then we'll proceed further. Thank you very much. Hari Om.